Hello, Alex?
Hey, sorry, I didn't know what was going on there. We made it.
How you doing today, anyways?
I'm good, yeah, not too bad. It's pretty warm here, which is nice, but we're not used to it, so struggling my way through that. But yeah, all good. How are you?
Good, pretty good. It's actually getting pretty hot over here, but that's kind of the norm.
Yeah, you're better equipped for it than us, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna just jump into this first thing here, which is with scalping. It's fascinating how you guys managed to create music that you could both headbang and dance to. Where did the idea come from to mix dance music with something a bit heavier and crunchier?
Well, we all grew up listening to rock music, listening to metal, playing guitar in rock bands, punk bands, metal bands. So that's always kind of our core, like what we grew up listening to. And then we all independently ended up in Bristol, and just the range and variety of music, especially electronic music and dance music and like club music that we got exposed to, was just mind-blowing. And yeah, just opened our minds to so many sounds and ideas that we'd never heard before. And we just wanted to be part of it, really. But then ended up using the tools and sounds that we were familiar with, and this is what came out, I guess. So yeah, we are metal and rock kids trying to make dance music.
Yeah, it feels like a weird technological leap in a way, because your debut full-length, which just dropped, Void, has a lot of unique sounds in it. It makes me curious, how does something like that, which is in a very controlled, kind of separately recorded environment, because this was a pandemic record, right, Void?
Totally, yeah, completely separate from each other, yeah.
So how does that kind of separately recorded, those separately recorded sessions in that kind of controlled environment kind of translate to a live show?
It's much more chaotic live, heavier, louder, noisier live, much more kind of free-flowing, bit more improvised and punky, I suppose. And when we play live, we play seamlessly. Like if you were seeing a DJ or something, we kind of seamlessly transition between the tracks. So it's not as much of a here's this section, here's this song, here's this idea, here's this track. It's much more sprawling and seamless and fluid, which I guess ends up feeling a little bit more chaotic. But yeah, on record, it's much more controlled. Everything's intentional and considered and sweated over and stressed about for weeks. But yeah, live it all comes out in much more of a kind of instantaneous mess, I guess.
And I guess because you're the electronics player in the band, when it came down to recording, did most of the other members send basically their WAV files to you, or how did that work?
Well, actually, most of the tracks start their life from ideas from James, who plays bass, but also kind of helms the production side of things. So he'd be spending his lockdown hours kind of in the studio, coming up with various little ideas or clips or whatever, and yeah, then they would get sent out to each member, or each member would then kind of go into the studio independently and add their bit, and we'd kind of flesh it out bit by bit like that. But yeah, there was a lot of loops added to Dropbox and spreadsheets trying to make sense of what all the different ideas mean and what matches what, and yeah, it was all felt quite academic and admin heavy, considering the music that came out of it. But it was just what we had to do, considering we couldn't all be in the same room at once.
Spreadsheets?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, yeah.
That's interesting. Do you think, well, I guess just considering how controlled that was, do you think the limitation of just not being together in a studio to record allowed you to experiment in ways you wouldn't have otherwise?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's huge pros and cons to it. I mean, the biggest pro being that if we didn't get the break in touring that we did have, then I can't imagine how we would have found the time to make this record. But conversely, maybe if we hadn't been given so much time, it wouldn't have taken as long. But but yeah, the limitations imposed definitely changed how the album sounds. It's exciting as we kind of get into writing the next stuff, and we're writing in the room together. It's exciting to see how different it sounds already. But yeah, it's definitely interesting listening back and hearing decisions that were made only because of the way that the record was made.
What do you think was the hardest song to piece together off the album?
There's the last song on the record called "Remain in Stasis," which Grove features on. He's a Bristol-based artist. That one took us ages. For a long time, it didn't have a vocal on, and we just couldn't get it right. We couldn't get the feel of it right. Couldn't get the structure right. There was a whole other guitar part in there for ages that we ended up scrapping. Yeah, we couldn't get it to. We nearly binned it. Actually, we actually did bin it twice. I think it got rescued. Yeah, just couldn't get it right. But we knew there was something cool about the groove. And then something suddenly clicked, and then we ended up getting Grove on it, and their performance just added exactly what it needed. And yeah, but I think became one of our favorites on the record eventually. But that took ages.
So I gotta do a quick shout out to someone who's sort of like the Jamie Hewlett, I guess, to your Damon Albarn, Jason Baker, who's done incredible artwork and visual designs for you. How did that collaboration come about?
Well, yeah, he's I guess similar to Gorillaz that you mentioned. He's very much in the band. He's present at every show. He performs live with us on stage. He's absolutely the fifth member of the band. But it came about because we saw him performing with another amazing artist called Kyla Painter in Bristol, and he was doing visuals for her a while before Scalping really took hold or existed even. And yeah, I think it was James who just approached him, met him for a drink, told him about this idea, and he was keen, he was into it, he liked the sound of the demos. Early on, we knew that we wanted Scalping to be audio-visual. We wanted to capitalize on that and make the live show a real event and a real immersive experience, and not just a band. And yeah, he was into it from the start, and he's been involved ever since. He's done everything. He does all the artwork, the merch, the music videos, the live show. So yeah, totally invaluable member of the project.
Yeah, and it looks incredible. And especially that package on vinyl has to be something. I'm going to cycle back to the live shows here for a second, because you've already gotten to play with some other groundbreaking acts like Black Midi and Square Pusher. First of all, how's that experience been? And second, is there a difference for you guys when you're playing something like Glastonbury versus a club setting?
Totally, yeah. It's every show we do feels different, and there's kind of upsides and downsides to how we toe the line between a live band and a club thing, because we've ended up, even as recently as this month, we play like mid-afternoon in a club for an indie band festival, and then we'll play at 2 a.m. In a sweaty basement. And both have their pros and cons. Both are amazing in different ways, and both are important for this band in different ways. But yeah, playing with like Black Midi, Square Pusher was obviously amazing. Just seeing like they're just total masters of their craft, and really lovely, kind, generous people. So yeah, it's great being around them and working out how we can fit our show, which at times can be a little bit over the top and expansive, how we can fit that into a 30-minute support slot where we've got to kind of squeeze everything into the corner of a stage in a little venue and make it work, and try not to compromise on our show, which we never want to do really. We want to make sure every show is as kind of as big a statement as it can be, even if we are squeezed into the corner somewhere.
So do you think there's like some kind of pressure to grab as many new ears as possible when it comes to supporting such acts?
Yeah, definitely. It's the same with playing festivals as well. You're not playing to your own crowd, so you're constantly trying to convince everyone, but we don't want to ever compromise to try and convince people. It's like we're going to go out there, be ourselves, give them the best show we can, and if they're into it, great. But if they're not, then we're not gonna kind of pander to an audience, I guess.
Before we wrap up, I'm going to do a short series of potpourri questions I like to call 3 questions from the magic crystal ball. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so first question is one I ask everybody who's from Britain. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Really?
Is that controversial? both, but definitely mainly coffee.
It's not controversial at all. It's actually kind of surprising because the majority of the answers have been coffee so far.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's I should for my country should say tea, but it's a stereotype. We all drink tea, but not with the Queen.
The next one's a bit of a Sophie's choice. One of these options can stay. The other one is fired into the sun, never to be heard again. So, Massive Attack's Blue Lines or Deftones' White Pony? Which one stays? Which one gets erased from society forever?
I've got to say Deftones stays.
Okay, so Massive Attack gets erased from human civilization for all time.
That seems harsh, but out of those two, yeah.
All right, let's see if you can live with your decision. And our last question's a bit of a hard one, too. What's your favorite song off of Void?
My favorite song of Void. I really like Desire, just because it doesn't sound anything like anything else we have ever made. We've never played it live or even played it in a room together. Never figured out how to do it live. It just was kind of a moment in the studio that came out of nowhere, and yeah, sounded completely different, and we didn't know what to do with it, and then decided to put it on the record, and I'm really happy we did because it just feels like a totally different moment, a different side of us.
I gotta thank you once again, Alex Hill of Scalping, for taking the time out for us today. The new album's titled Void. Where can our listeners find the album?
Everywhere. All streaming, Bandcamp, I guess maybe in some record stores in the States. I hope so, I don't know. But yeah, anywhere online where you normally would.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with upcoming shows. I know you're touring, you're about to go on tour in Europe. But do you have any plans on playing the U.S. anytime in the near future?
Nothing confirmed, but there's definitely conversations happening. So, yeah, hopefully soon. Hopefully first half of next year.
Well, once again, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you very much for taking the time out.
Thank you so much. Cheers.